I did feel bad for Michael Keaton in this movie as well, just in terms of like some of the action sequences that he could do. Again, based on the restrictions that they had in like 1989, like it just felt weird to see sort of towards the end of the movie, kind of like Batman running up some stairs in like sort of where the church was, and it was in the church, when like the sort of like the bell
tower, right? Yeah,
the bell tower, yeah. It felt not like, again, underwhelming, but like based on sort of the time of it, it was probably like a little more impressive. But like when like the bell's kind of like falling down and he just like stands against the wall and like goes past him, it's like you kind of want him to do something a little bit more creative and like a little bit more daring to kind of like maybe get out of the way of the bell or something like that. And then just like, and I appreciate what they were trying to do in terms of like trying to introduce sort of like some of his kind of like gadgets and gizmos and stuff like that. So like his back car looked cool, looked very good. That was a really good design. When he tried to do like the thing where he like disappears in smoke, it didn't quite work.
You could still see him, yeah.
But I did appreciate that they tried to do that, and like, they tried to incorporate that into sort of like into the movie. And it was I think
that might be something that looks better on a 4:3 television from the 90s.
Possibly.
I think that might be one of these movies that have not made the transition to HD and 4K well, because suddenly you see all the shortcuts and tricks they've used. I imagine that is an effect that looked good enough 30 years ago on TV.
Yeah, probably. And the other thing that was like a little bit hard to believe was like, do you know when like they do the thing where they make him just like suddenly disappear, like, the bad guy like turns around for a second and they cut back around and he's just like disappeared. But then you see like shots of him just like running through the streets with Vicky and stuff like that, and it's just like, it's not quite like I couldn't imagine sort of this Batman being the one that just like is able to like stealthily sort of disappear whilst you have your back turned and you don't know that he's gone, basically. So it's just like a few shortcomings that, again, it's just restrictions of the time, and I just feel like probably would have elevated the movie a little bit more.
It's a little bit baffling. Like famously, Michael Keaton could not move his head. Like this in the costume, you cannot turn your head. There's 4 movies in this continuity, I think, and I think in the third they fixed that, and they make sure to put in a scene where Batman turns his head just to show people. But it's a little bit baffling to me that they had this restriction, right? Presumably they did this because they had no other choice. But then they wrote a plot that has him be in a lot of one-to-one fights, where you could have just put him into the shadow a lot more, and he's more of an investigator than a fighter, right? So I think that was a bad choice. That the plot requires him to get into a lot of fights when he's out in the open, and he has to move quickly. And that I think that even looks bad by 1989 standards, but it looks even worse as time goes on, as we are used to better fight choreography and better effects. And like every Batman costume since then has worked better, I think.